Hello. It's time, perhaps, for a little bit of stream. Bomberman can go away now. Hello. Sucro becomes secretary. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Last time, we fought the primals of water and lightning, Leviathan and Ramu. And this time, things are starting out, like, pretty okay. We have to talk to a child for some reason. A letter has arrived expressing gratitude. And we are encouraged to rest for a while and talk to a children. And so, I suppose we shall. Oh, people do have new dialogue. I told Philomene about all our adventures in the Sylphlands, fake Thancred and all. You won't tell the real Thancred, will you? That was cut from the game at this point, so we didn't actually see any of the fake Scion shenanigans. I do not know where we would be without Higiri. The girl has worked tirelessly for us every day since her arrival. Do you suppose all Doman women are so diligent? You can't make a sweeping generalization like that about anything. The storm has passed, and a moment's quietude is ours. Totaro is using her newfound time to further her studies, and I would follow her example. If living in Eorzea has taught us anything at all, it's that such restful moments are fleeting. Dark clouds ever stir anew on the horizon. Nah, Y'shtola, I'm pretty sure everything's going to be completely fine always, from now on. With the Doman younglings dashing around hither and yon, there's hardly a moment of peace to be had. That said, traveling with Ida, it's not as if I knew much peace to begin with. Trying to be a little quieter today, by the way. So, my voices might not be as ridiculous. Ah, Sucro, care to watch the lessons before you journey on your way? I dare say your presence would go so far as to inspire the younglings. Despite all the hardships they have faced, the younglings pursue their training with great zeal. We older ones would do well to follow their example. This is what zeal looks like. Standing at attention. Repetition and routine begets skill. Skill begets confidence. I would do what I can to see the Domans regain their strength of will. Never is a woman more lovely than when she's hard at work, I say. A wild rose, strong and beautiful, blooming tall in the face of the frozen winds. Thancred, stop being Thancred, please. 137, 138, 130... Oh, hello there. I've been charged with keeping inventory. Philomene tells me it's a vitally important... Oh dear, I seem to have lost count. Sorry, that's my fault. Anyone else? No? Okay. It's easier to find all of the people that there are to talk to in the Rising Stones than it was in the Waking Sands, because there's just one big room more than anything. Yozan's always been the strongest of us, but even he's no match for Koharu when she's mad. If I were as big as a mountain and strong as a bear like Mr. Boulder is, maybe I would like fighting more. Are you taking a rest too? Promise you'll play with us again soon. That game of hide-and-seek in Vesper Bay was the most fun I've had in forever. Alright, Yozan, what do you want? Training complete. Report to the barracks for debriefing. Good timing, maybe. Look, it's Miss Sucro. She's back from her adventures. We heard you were off fighting primals and that they're some of the strongest enemies you could ever face. I wish I could have seen you in battle. Anyway, we all want to be heroes too, so we finally formed our very own Doman Adventurers Guild to protect all the Domans. Oh, do you think you could train us today, Sucro? Maybe you could show us how you fought the primals. What's all this commotion then? Says Mystery Voice. Okay, it's Boulder. Mr. Boulder and Mr. Coltonay, did you know that Miss Sucro is back? So it would seem. Welcome home, Sucro. My companion and I but recently became full members of the Scions, and I believe proper introductions have yet to be made. I am known as Hoary Boulder, and this bookish fellow is Coltonay. Though we remain largely unproven as adventurers, we have taken it upon ourselves to instruct the Doman younglings in the arts of combat. I told you, Mr. Boulder, we're not younglings anymore, we're adventurers. And we were just asking Miss Sucro if she could give us some special training. I think we're ready to hunt monsters alongside her, don't you? Well, you've certainly been diligent with your drills, but I'm afraid the fiends of Mordona are still ever so slightly too dangerous for you. I have a counter-proposal. What if I were to cross swords with Sucro? A demonstration of skill at arms, if you will. Hori, if I didn't know you better, and I do, I'd say you were merely seeking to test yourself against a legend. Well, mayhaps I am, but what matters the motive when the children stand to learn so much from the lesson? What say you, Sucro? Would you consent to spar with me? I'll kill you. I mean, yes. Huzzah! We're to have a tournament! Come on, everyone, we must prepare our gear for an outing. I won't kill him. I'll just probably injure him and his pride. Do try not to disappoint them, Have faith, Coltonay. I shall summon every last ounce of my strength to make of this a worthy contest. The fields to the east of town should prove suitable for our purpose. I very much look forward to our bout. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go fine. So, I'm level 75 now, because I do roulettes off camera, and that doesn't really have anything to do with anything. But the more I do roulettes, the more I see that every healer that exists right now is a sage. I mean, of course, because it's a new class. I had a roulette that was 2 sages, 2 dark knights, 3 reapers, and 1 monk. I don't know why Dark Knights are the monk, but there isn't a new tank, so... It kind of makes me want to not play as a sage, just to be different, because I have that built-in desire to stand out, or something like that. And also, the funniest thing to me about everyone being a sage when sage is the new healer is that as a shield healer, a lot of the actions that the sage does don't stack with the actions of another sage, and some of the actions of a scholar, the other shield healer. Aw, geez, thanks. So, the only healer that's never technically redundant is White Mage and Astrologian as the pure healers, because shield healers don't stack with each other. I feel like the design intent is to have a shield healer and a pure healer. These are the terms they've decided to use, at least. In any party that requires 2 healers. But if they made those actually like separate categories and had the queue account for this, it would never go anywhere, especially not now, where there's only shield healers. Is sparring dangerous? I don't think I want to see anyone else being hurt. We had a master of lessons back in Doma, and the way he taught us was very different from Mr. Boulder. I'm not sure which way is better, but I think I like them both. As we left the Rising Stones, Mr. Thancred asked us where we were going. I told him we were off to watch you and Mr. Boulder fight, and he looked very surprised. I hope we haven't made him cross. Miss Sucro is here. Let the battle begin. Yeah, alright. 'Twas good of you to agree to this, Sucro. I trust you're ready to begin. Oh no, level sync, my worst enemy. It'll be fine. Very well. Let us not keep the younglings waiting any longer. Ahem. Hori, are you certain you wish to fight her alone? That is Sucro you face. What better way to test my mettle? Pray allow me to attempt the first round unaided. After all, 'twas this hero's legend that led me to join the Scions to begin with. Without Sucro to inspire my efforts, I would not be half the warrior I am today. Your point is well made, but remember, this is for the children's sake as well as your own. Should it appear the contest will end too swiftly, I shall add my spells to your blade work. Hello, you haven't begun yet, have you? Mystery voice. Oh, everyone wanted to watch. Ida? Who are all these people? When I heard about your sparring match, I told everyone I could find. Thought you could use a crowd to cheer you on. Yes, and there's still more to come. When I mentioned Sucro's name, the reaction was quite enthusiastic. Why, my own popularity seems but a sickly shade in comparison. You'd best claim victory, Bringer of Light. Your burgeoning reputation is at stake. Well, our teacher won't be beaten so easily. He's a master swordsman. You can win, Mr. Boulder. We shall soon see. On your guard. Grin. I knew it would do this music. Hello, Mr. Boulder. Day and night he's honed his skills, and now is the time to test them, he says. Well? Such power! The tales barely do you justice. Mr. Boulder won't lose, will he? It's not over yet. It can't be. Aye, the children have the right of it. Coltene the cultured. 'Tis time I joined the fray. On your feet, Hori. You're alright. I must admit to Vite, 'twas an honor and a privilege. Oh no, he looks hurt. Miss Sucro is so strong, but you can't give up, Mr. Boulder. Can't disappoint the younglings. Ah! You can disappoint the younglings pretty easily. Ever have I faced such strength, but the lesson must continue. 'Tis your example I follow. Surrender not to the implacable foe. Okay. Bap. Bap. The Sage melee attack is very funny. Especially as a cat. It's just a little bap. The kind of motion you would do to slap something off of a table. You've bested me. I yield. I can heal you now. Gasp! That was incredible! She beat them both at the same time! We knew you couldn't lose, Sucro. None can defeat the Guardian of Eorzea. Who are you? Now I see why they send you to deal with the primals. I've much work to do if I'm ever to attempt the same. There's just a bunch of random people I've never seen. At least 2 people I've never seen. That's funny. I did. I couldn't heal them, though. I could. Impressive as always, Sucro. 'Tis ever a pleasure to witness the spectacle of your martial prowess. I think it might inspire me to change my job class in several expansions. And judging by the smiles on these many faces, they too appreciate the hard-won strength that keeps the perils of the realm at bay. Guardian of Eorzea. Yes, that is a most fitting title. Do you recall when we first met? It was at the memorial service for the Battle of Cartano. At the time, I was yet attempting to understand this land of Eorzea. I sought to grasp the reason why grandfather willingly sacrificed himself to protect it. I shall speak plainly. My initial impressions were less than favorable. Dire problems abounded, and yet the effort I saw expended towards their solution was haphazard and half-hearted. I thought Eorzeans a foolish and childish people. Considering the shambles their home was in, I would not have been surprised if some had chosen to swear allegiance to Gaius and the order he proposed to enforce. The legatus' single-minded military invasion precluded any such switching of loyalties, of course. Were it not for a desire to continue grandfather's legacy, I would have abandoned the realm to its fate long ago. The threats were too many, the nations too self-involved and unstable. Narrow eyes. 'Twas you who convinced me that the salvation of Eorzea was possible. 'Twas you who taught me, through countless acts of bravery, that what my grandsire sought to preserve was not the land nor its history, nor any single nation. It was the people. These wonderful, oft-infuriating, stubborn people that suffer blow after terrible blow, only to drag themselves back to their feet to face another day. Though we never put such feelings into words, I believe grandfather's admiration for this inextinguishable courage grew into a fervent wish, a wish to aid Eorzea and its inhabitants in charting a course for the future. A wish that has now become my own. I, too, will endeavor to take up the mantle of Guardian of Eorzea and champion these people who toil towards a better world. Our cause, however, is not a simple one. The troubles that plague us are of a scale that cannot be solved by the scions of the Seventh Dawn alone. No, what is needed to tackle the root of the primal threat and effectively counter the schemes of the Ascians is a new, expanded organization that operates beyond the limitations of nations and borders. If you would aid me in building such an organization, then pray let us continue this discussion back within the walls of the Rising Stones. Nod. I mean, initial impressions on that idea don't seem too bad. That could probably work or be helpful. We're a pretty small group of people expected to do a lot. So it would only make sense that you would want to bolster our ranks. I'm sure nothing could go terribly, horribly wrong. There seems to be a tendency of things going terribly, horribly wrong eventually. But hey, maybe it'll work out. What's everyone have to say now? Your bout with Hoary Boulder was more stirring than 100 lines of my most passionate poetry. Mayhaps I should arrange a sparring match of my own. I wish Ida were not so eager to look to the future when we have so many problems in the here and now. I can't wait for Alphino to start his new company. I love making new friends. I fear Ida's boundless optimism is beginning to affect my better judgment, and your tendency to triumph against the most terrible of foes is certainly not helping matters. Just let me be grumpy. Totaro, do you need like a more specialized seat? Because you're just standing in your chair half the time. That's probably not comfortable. No, this won't do at all, and then I'll have to... Oh, hello, Sucro. If you don't mind, I'm terribly busy at the moment. Gotta do the accounting. 'Tis not enough that I'm here for my daughter. I must do what little I can to help you all succeed in your monumental tasks. This place has become as a hive, and its bees flit about in constant motion. Perhaps a soothing pot of tea will coax one or two to alight and take a moment's rest. I thought the idea foolish at first, but it seems that sparring match well served its purpose. Why, I can hardly wait to return to my studies and seek to improve upon my technique. My people's spirits were thoroughly crushed by the loss of our homeland, but thanks to your courage and generosity, I see their inner flames once more flicker back to life. I, too, have felt that my strength will make a gradual return. Sucro, I must thank you again for agreeing to our bout. I must thank the gods 'twas not a duel to the death. I will, however, cherish the lesson of each scrape and bruise as I work to better my swordplay. I like the way Mr. Colton A fought, no swords or fists. I wonder if I studied hard if I'd be able to cast spells like that too. Child has discovered wizardry. Mr. Boulder is so sore and beaten, but he said he'd returned straight to his training. I don't think he likes to lose. We need to decide who in our Adventurers Guild will do what. I'm fairly sure Yozan will have to be the sword fighter. He always has to be in the thick of the action. Mr. Boulder fought well, but he was no match for you, Miss Sucro. Just you wait. One day I'll be good enough to knock you from the top of your mountain. Nah, I don't think that's gonna happen, probably. Our Doman farming methods have been adopted here on the frontier. 'Tis too early yet to know if they will prove to be effective. I think that probably depends on the kinds of crops that you're growing. Because farming methods, like, what you're growing is pretty important, and how you tend to it, I would imagine. Not that I have an expansive knowledge on farming like Sucro might. With the primal threat presently subdued, now is the perfect time to focus on new endeavors. Alphino has long been laying the groundwork for this organization of his, and he looks to you to help turn his proposal into reality. Pray lend him what aid you can. Thank you for coming, Sucro. The world shifts and alters, and we, my friend, must ever be one step ahead of the chaos. What I propose is the formation of a new organization, a group that shall pave the way for a truly united Eorzea. Seems legit? Question mark? None of these are terribly helpful to me. Recruiting the realm. Alright, Alphino, what do you want? Pray forgive me if I tread over old ground, but I would first speak of the grand plan. Since the advent of the 7th astral era, the leaders of the 3 nations have been deliberating over an accord that seeks to bring the disparate forces of Eorzea together into a single entity. A realm-wide grand company, if you will. The military might of such an institution would be drawn from every corner of the land and directed against threats that no single nation could hope to overcome alone. Yet, while the purpose of this hypothetical organization is undisputed, the logistics of its formation have become the source of endless debate. And the longer these discussions continue, the more I sense the impetus towards unification draining away. Thus have I been campaigning for the creation of what might be considered a trial company. It will be on a much smaller scale than what we hope to eventually achieve, but capable of the same manner of unrestricted operation accorded to the Scions, 'Tis my hope that the successful utilization of such a force will lend momentum to the lagging deliberations. This basically is the Scions want a private military, I guess? Is kind of what it sounds like. Also, being a primarily military outfit, I mean to assuage fears of its misuse by placing the fledgling organization under the authority of the antecedent. The Scions work tirelessly to protect Eorzea and its people. But as you yourself has witnessed with the refugee revolt, there are limitations to what even we can achieve. With this new company under the Scion's command, however, we will be capable of responding to a wider range of difficulties without straining our resources or overtaxing your formidable talents. The goals of my proposed organization and those of the Scions are ultimately identical, a point conceded by all concerned. But before I can move forward with establishing this precursor to the true border-spanning Grand Company, 'tis yet necessary that I visit the three leaders and gain their official approval. A tiresome and time-consuming task, which is why I would ask that you accompany me on the journey and attend to the business of recruiting our inaugural members while I am otherwise engaged with bureaucratic formalities. Nod. Thank you. It is reassuring indeed to know that the bringer of light in her discerning eye will be selecting our future allies. Our first destination will be Limsa. Let us rendezvous at Bulwark Hall. Time to recruit a private military, I guess. That's probably fine. What could go wrong? What possibly? Sucro is well known for her discerning eye, being able to pick out good military recruits? Question mark? I don't think this is a task which I have much experience or expertise in. I mean, I can see floating quest markers. Is that a special ability? Is that a feature of the Echo? This is kind of fun, though. Like, I guess, like, Alphino even mentioned how we first met him, going about listening to the Grand Company ceremonies in all the nations. And now we're going around with Alphino in all the nations to recruit people for a worldwide Grand Company. So it's sort of a return to that, a callback of sorts. Ah, there you are. I'm ready to ascend to the bridge and speak with Admiral Bluffiswin. While the Admiral and I are finalizing promissory boundaries and signing parchments, I would have you begin the recruitment process in earnest. I have, of course, been... I'm gonna switch to event chat so I don't see spoilers. I just remembered to do that. I have, of course, endeavored to spread the word of our organization through various channels, but I believe a personal approach will reach many who may otherwise remain ignorant of the opportunity. As for potential members, 'tis of no matter should they already be pledged to another institution, only that they're willing to lend their strength when the situation demands it. And you needn't range into the countryside. The upper decks alone are populated with sufficient candidates to suit our purpose. Once you're satisfied with your recruiting efforts, meet me at the airship ticket counter, that we might prepare for the next leg of our journey. Can't we just use Aetherate, Alphino? Time to scout for potential recruits on the docks. There's a variety of people. We have to go to the upper decks, though. Every time I hear this crowd noise, I always hear sentences in it that don't really make anything, don't really make any sense. I've mentioned it before, I'm pretty sure. But I always hear someone say, just because they don't have any on the front plate doesn't mean they don't have any. I don't think that means anything. Is that the, like, bakery equivalent of make them check the back or something? Can you check the back room to see if you have any cake? Maybe you got a shipment of it early before the release date of cake. I don't know. Guess we're talking to you. Have we ever been here before? Eh? Who in the bloody hells do you think you're talking to, Drylander? I'm a pirate, not some sodden knight in shining plate. If you're looking for a self-righteous fop, try knocking on that dandy Cavalane's door. Well, not every recruitment effort can go correctly. Sucro's discerning eye has, i.e. Sucro immediately going for a pirate. Be like, hey, wanna be a cool knight, I guess? I don't know. What? The Armor Guildmaster? A precursor to a united Eorzean Grand Company. Well, I do admire the scope of your ambition. My responsibilities here at Naldik and Vimelis keep me close to the forge. I have not the time to be traipsing hither and yon across the realm. Should you require my skills as an armorer, however, I might be willing to accept some special commissions. Yeah, I don't know why we're asking who we're asking, honestly. I don't follow what's allegedly Sucro's logic in this proceeding. But hey, we get a nice look around the upper deck of Limsa Lominsa that we haven't really looked around that much, honestly. Well, if it ain't Sucro, I'd not forget a venture brave enough or daft enough to seek the shortcut into Titan's bedchamber. You remember old Real, don't you? Formerly of the Company of Heroes? 3 whistles at Bronze Lake? Aye, it ain't often I drag me arse out to Limsa for a drink, but I'm right glad I did. How fair are you these days? Oh yeah, this guy. You're looking to put together a new crew? Top-tier work? Ha, sounds like a right lark, it does. Alrighty, lass, count me in. The heroes may have gone their separate ways, but I ain't ready to climb into me grave just yet. We recruited one guy who was kind of a jerk to us in the past, so I don't really know why we did that, honestly. Okay. Now we're moving north. Limsa is a little bit weird to navigate. It's because of all the different stairs and elevations and paths that cross under them and stuff. It was probably more difficult to navigate in 1.0. I'm pretty sure that they rearranged a lot of the geography, both of those. In particular, I've heard that 1.0 Black Shroud is an infamous location for some reason. I don't know if it was difficult to navigate or just a wide, empty, barren patch of land with trees scattered hither and thither. Oh hey, speaking of Carveline. An organization with the freedom to operate with territorial impunity. I must say your proposal intrigues me, but the Krakens well know that there's a time to act and a time to watch. And I'm afraid this trial company of yours falls into the latter category. Too risky, eh? So we got like one guy. Oh yeah, we mentioned this last stream. There's this emblem of 2 guns in front of what is now the Marauders Guild. This would probably have been the Corsair, or whatever they would have called the double pistol class. Probably that's their emblem. Also, I should actually mention, speaking of emblems, yeah, you can see it next to the Marauder emblem up there. Speaking of emblems, actually, if we look at the Sage emblem, which you can sort of see underneath my level there, and there's probably a better place to look at it somewhere. Yeah, you can see it over there on that list over there too. They had to edit the Sage emblem. This is actually the second iteration. I think I've developed a habit of accidentally rolling R's just in every normal speech slightly. Anyway, this is actually the second iteration of the Sage emblem. Like, you can see it over here. Because the first version of it, there were holes in each of the new lists represented in the emblem that triggered a lot of people's, I forget, is it tryptophobia? Is that the name of it? I have to double check that. Yeah, it is. I obviously won't show the previous Sage emblem on screen, but the previous Sage emblem triggered tryptophobia, and they made sure to go out of their way to address this quickly, stating that even though it would be a relatively small amount of the player base, it was important to them that everyone was comfortable. And that's really good. Speaking of how the dev team of this game is really good, they posted a thing today that was like, okay, so we're having the largest amount of players since the original launch of the game, causing a lot of server congestion and issues and errors and whatnot. Here's all of the errors, exactly what they mean, and exactly what we're doing to try and fix them, exactly what that means for you, and a rough estimate of when everything will be complete, directly from the producer. Like, the team making this game genuinely cares a lot about the game and the players of it, and it's nice. So, hey, Raynor. Master Alphino's new organization. Yes, I heard the formation of his trial company was in the offing. 'Tis with regret, however, that I must decline your invitation. As commander of the Yellow Jackets, the protection of Limsa Lominsa must needs receive my full attention. Like I said, I don't know why we thought it was a good idea to ask, like, important leaders of places to join our cool team when it's pretty clear that they would have a lot of obligations already. So I'm not really sure why we did that the way we did. But okay. So, Crow's Lift. How do we get here again? I think that's the same lift that we take to see Merlvib whenever we do that. This NPC's name, Altskiff, like, a lot of Seawolf Rogadin names like this kind of have this vibe, but this one in particular feels like a key smash for some reason. Like, most of the letters in this person's name are in the middle row. That might be why. Seawolf Rogadin names are still less ridiculous than Final Fantasy XI's automatically generated names that seem to take your username and then scramble it and add a bunch of random letters. When I briefly tried Final Fantasy XI recently, the name I ended up getting was Haihorin Halobi. I think that was it. It was very ridiculous. Okay, so that's not the right lift. Is this the right lift? Where do I go? Wait, no, this is the right lift. I just didn't read it correctly. Also, for the record, with the Seawolf names, which includes Merlvib Blafaswin, each component of those has a meaning. They have like a vocabulary of Seawolf Rogadin things that are mashed together with certain rules and stuff. They put a lot of thought into how names work, generally. Hello, Alphino. I recruited one person. Sucro, your recruiting went well, I trust. I'm curious as to how my proposal was received by the rough and ready folk of Limsalominsa. Ah, a member of the legendary company of heroes indicated his interest. Astonishing. I knew enlisting your aid was the right choice. Few could boast the acquaintance of such an elusive character. I, too, was successful in my task. The Admiral consented to sign all the documents requiring her approval. I can only hope that my visit with the Elder Seedseer proceeds as smoothly. Pray continue on to Gridania at your own pace. I shall await your arrival at Nofika's altar. Okay. The funny thing about Gridania being involved in any politics is that theoretically the elementals could just say no and then nobody would be able to do anything about anything. Because they're beholden to some sort of god with an alien morality, essentially. Not really a god, but a powerful being that they have to listen to, because otherwise it will destroy their house. I mentioned elementals and stuff before, like last stream even. But really, if they ever need to at any point in the plot be like, actually, Gridania can't do anything because of a complication, they just have an easy button to do that with. Now, who can we try and recruit in Gridania? I wonder. Gridania might have the elementals and their weird mentality, but overall it's probably the nicest of the three nations, so we might get a few good people here. Who knows? My audience with the Elder Seedseer is due to commence momentarily. I'd be grateful if you would once more see to the task of recruitment here in Gridania. After you deem the well of potential candidates has run dry, let us rendezvous at the airship ticket counter as before. I remember where this counter is, at least. Okay. As before, let's, rather than teleporting everywhere, let's just sort of run through. It's nice to get a closer look at each nation sometimes. I am only running through it, of course, but... Also, it's a little bit funny how in both Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV, the starting nations are fairly similar. There's a desert one, there's a forest one, and then the last one is the one that's different, because in 11 it's like a castle town kind of thing, I think. And then in 14 it's Limsa. So. Also unrelatedly, this random NPC here is Yashtola's sister. I think. I mean, she's in the same clan as Yashtola, at the very least. And so would this character be. But I think Yashtola and Yamitra over here actually know each other and interact in some capacity. Hello. Grandfather, you must call it a day. Let us return to the guild and rest ere your tormented back gives up on you for good. I'm terribly sorry. We were just... Oh, Sucro, isn't it? It's been some time since our past crossed outside Copperbell Mines. Oh yeah, you. Why, you were barely more than a novice adventurer then, but look how far you've come. Mother Mione tells me 'twas you who felled the fearsome black wolf. And now you seek stout-hearted souls to fill the ranks of a new order. Well, your cause is undoubtedly just, and my old companion here would be much relieved to see me in good hands. Yes, I'll do it. This is the very thing I've spent my entire adventuring career working towards. I shall join your company just as soon as I've seen Isildur safely home. My back is perfectly fine, I tell you. You'll have to tie me to my bed if you think to prevent me from... Ow. Well, mayhaps I will rest for just a short while. Always remember to take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. And don't be too harsh to yourself. Rest when you need to. Are we going to try and recruit the... We're going to try and recruit the guy who ran away from the manor and did crime, I think. You would offer this old man a place in your company of champions? I'm both puzzled and honored by your invitation. Pray forgive me, young mistress, but I cannot accept. I've sworn to abide here for whatever scant years remain to me, and bear responsibility for the evils my lady has wrought upon this land. I didn't think recruiting him would be a good idea, because I knew he had prior obligations. But okay, Sucro. I know I said something silly about someone having the keen mind feat last stream, but it feels like the Warrior of Light also does, because Sucro's remembering all these minor NPCs that we've interacted with, and some that we haven't. 'Tis not often a guild officer such as myself gets recruited, and this company of yours certainly sounds to have some promise, but its duties appear less than focused. I must refuse your invitation until such time as your organization is more organized. That's a legitimate criticism, probably. I mean, we're doing our best to get organized right now, but... Hey, we're passing through the market area. While we're here, let's see what funny prizes my retainers have for me. Somehow I didn't notice the venture commenced text and such until recently, and I was like, did they add that in the expansion? But no, it's been there always, I'm pretty sure. Or at least for a long time. Once my retainers reach level 70, I'll theoretically be able to promote all of them into Sage, assuming that I continue to play as the Sage. I'm a little afraid to give my retainers an actual job class before I max one, because retainers are only able to level to the level that you are for whatever class you give to them. So if they were sages, they could only reach level 75 right now. And, well, they've lasted this long as just Arcanists, so I guess I can wait. Well, they can get up to level 79 as Arcanists, at least. Oh, you seem familiar. Wait, you were a shithead, weren't you? You were a jerk. You were a traitor. You betrayed something. And then you were like, I'm going to totally redeem my qualities and be good. Oh gods, can it truly be you? By what fickle fortune must the first face I see upon my release be yours? Yeah, see, he was prison. Could it be that you don't remember me? It's I, Laurentius, the man whose crimes you exposed. I was a whaler and a regular patron at Buscaron's. Do you remember Laurentius? I do remember him. Of course you do. I was beginning to wonder if jail had changed me more than I realized. Not that I have any particular wish to be recognized after my shameful conduct. The less said of my past, the better, I suppose. And what of you, adventurer? What business brings you to this part of Gridania? Recruiting, eh? And what is your policy on reformed convicts? As matters stands, the wood whalers will have naught more to do with me. This may just be the second chance I was looking for. Revenant's toll, you say? I shall leave at once. You shall not regret this, I promise you. I am a changed man. Now, I believe in second chances, but I also think I remember this guy continuing to be a shithead. So, I am a little wary about that. And now, that's... Well, we did better in Gridania than we did in, Limsa. So at least there's that. That means we have to go recruiting in Ul'dah. Oh boy. I'm sure that will only go well. As you may know by now, Ul'dah is kinda shit and garbage. Full of people who suck. But I guess we'll have to find out. Alright, Alphino. Here's a player character walking in a circle. Admirable behavior. I do this often. What news, Sucro? For my part, the elder Seedseer was most amenable to our requirements. A former wood whaler and a seasoned adventurer. Our company will not lack for variety, that much is certain. An interesting harvest indeed. Shall we strike into Ul'dah while the iron is hot? Let us meet at the Royal Promenade and endeavor to conclude our remaining business. Our journey draws to a close. Oh boy, it's time for the shit capital of Eorzea, I think I called it. The weird thing about streaming 2 days in a row for once is that I actually remember things that I said in the past. I'm constantly remembering and referring to things I said yesterday. Who could we possibly recruit in this location? With Gridania, I was hopeful. With Ul'dah, I'm afraid. So the Royal Promenade is up there. We've been seeing a lot of this particular room lately. And I don't believe that'll stop anytime soon. Alright, Alphino. Ul'dah, the gilded city where one's fortune defines one's worth. I hope some manner of fortune is with us and that this final leg proves as successful as the previous two. Might I suggest descending to the lower level before beginning your recruitment efforts? I do not think that the Sultana will take kindly to us poaching from her personal guard. Let us meet back here at the promenade when our respective tasks are complete. Good hunting, Sucro. That seems reasonable. Apparently it was fine to attempt to steal the head of the Yellow Jackets and the Armorers Guild. But you don't want to steal from the Sultana, I guess. Our recruitment efforts in Gridania were largely like sensible people that we recognized. Why are we trying to recruit this guy? A company that looks to cure the ills of the realm entire. Listen, friend, I can scarce bear the complaints of the next all over, let alone the conundrums of a neighboring nation. I guess we're just talking to people we vaguely recognize instead of, like, going for good options. I really don't quite understand. Right. Okay. I need to have the map open. Oh, you. Were you someone I helped in Quarry Mill? Or are you just some random Alamigan? You'd be surprised what rumors drift down to Pro Lane. I know this glorious new company of yours, and just how far I'd go to avoid getting involved with it. Whispers on the street say your organization is funded by corrupt coin, by syndicate money. If you think you're recruiting for a just cause, then you're a bigger fool than I took you for. Well, I haven't heard about that. However, wait, who are you? Family ain't interested unless you got a business proposal. You must be important for something. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have a label or dialogue. I think we should be able to recruit Hildebrand. I thought of that because I realized we were about to recruit a Hildebrand adjacent character. Or attempt to. I'm sorry, you wish to recruit me? Is this some new-fashioned manner of propositioning a lady? I'm afraid you're wasting your time. This lady's already spoken for. Good day to you, miss. Well, I don't think Sucro is very good at recruiting for an army. Despite what talents she does have. I don't recognize you. Oh, what a happy coincidence. Oh, you're from the church. Do you remember me, perchance? I'm Orson, of the Church of St. Adama Landama. Thank you again for your timely rescue. I must also thank you for preventing that fraudulent priest from preying on dry bones less fortunate. A most upsetting business. Are you here with your companion, Thancred, Wasn't it? 'Tis new companions you seek, then. Your proposed organization sounds like a powerful force for good, but my place is at the church with the children. Nevertheless, I wish you well in this undertaking. So, Ul'dan recruits 0 so far. Again, I find myself questioning, why did we think, like, a local priestess would be a good fit for a military organization? Are we just following RPG rules where a priestess is probably a healer and we need some of those? I don't quite follow. Okay, so... I don't think this is correct. Yeah, I have to circle around. I think. Someone from the Gladiators Guild, the Colosseum. Wait, you're the lady who came to Little Alamigo looking for that masked devil. Oh, you were one of the rowdy youths, I think. Who knows what might have happened if you hadn't. I'd probably be dead, and a whole lot more of my friends besides. We were such fools. Anyway, that disaster really got me to thinking about our homeland and about the outsider who saved us from ourselves. I realized how easily I'd been manipulated and vowed to make of myself a more worldly man, so here I am. A new company of champions, and you say it will take me to all corners of the realm. That sounds exactly like the kind of opportunity I need. Don't worry, I'm not the same stripling you met in Little Alamigo. I've prepared myself to fight the evil I now know is out there. Hey, we got one person. That's about what I expected out of Ul'dah. Right then. So of the recruits that we've gathered, we have multiple people who we've beaten sense into, essentially. And one person who was very rude to us as a joke. And I've already forgotten the rest. How fared you, Sucro? What hidden gems did the streets of Ul'dah offer up to your unrelenting gaze? We got one guy. He was alright. A single Alamigan youth. Well, you've certainly given us an admirable start, even if our ranks are yet somewhat thin. In these troubled years following the calamity, talk of Eorzea's salvation must seem akin to grasping at clouds. But there are those who've risen to the challenge nonetheless. And the hope that inspires these people was born in no small part from the victories you yourself have won. Thank you, Sucro. I will not squander the precious gift you've placed into my keeping. These recruits will become the foundation of a new beginning. Nod. And yes, we are free to begin. As you've no doubt surmised, the Sultana also graced my trial company with her blessings. Our first wave of recruitment is over, the documents signed, and the finances secure. There's naught to prevent me from taking the next step. Hynero, you were concerned by the Syndicate's involvement, as was I. Thus was the origin of every coin of their contribution carefully scrutinized and recorded. The organization will not be built on corruption. I object to this. The Syndicate is corrupt by default. Even if all of their money is legitimate, allegedly, they aren't. And the fact that they funded our organization means they have power over it. And they're like a squad of the worst people. Alphino? Naturally, I would prefer not to rely upon outside sources at all, but even my family's substantial coffers could not sustain a venture of this magnitude. As for the rumors and doubts surrounding this enterprise, well, such things shall plague us until the company's had a chance to prove its worth. It will not be an easy process, but we will earn people's trust one success at a time. Speaking of time, we should waste no more of it. Let us return to the Rising Stones and lay the first stone for a united Eorzea. So we've got about 4 or 5 recruits for a grand organization led by a teenager, funded by an evil organization of power-hungry, money-hungry Ul'dah, like, politicians. What do you think about this, Nanamo? And Rauban?
Tell me, General, what think you of Alphino's bold endeavor?
I think it is more than bold, Your Grace. His organization would pave the way for a united Eorzea. Well do I understand his impatience. Since facing the common threat of the Ultima weapon, our nations have seemed farther apart, not closer together. Considering the many problems we face, should we not be glad that someone else is taking the initiative?
I'm sure glad that I don't have to do anything, said Reborn.
We have all pledged our cooperation, yet the grumbling continues behind closed doors. Ulda is not alone in her duplicity. I myself have doubts as to the good this organization will achieve. With the inclusion of the finest soldiers of the 3 grand companies, it promises to be a fearsome military body. But whom will it serve? Even under the watchful gaze of the Scions, it is not unthinkable that such a force could perpetrate a great wrong.
Private military funded by the worst people in Ulda could totally not do anything wrong, Nanamo Ulnamo.
Does it not concern you that a significant proportion of its financial backing came from the coffers of the Syndicate? That those unprincipled worms might forge this extraordinary gathering of warriors into a private army?
Unprincipled worms, huh? Well, I'm glad Nanamo is decent at least.
I have trust in the Scions, Your Grace. They have spared us no end of trouble at the hands of the Primals. If they seek reinforcements, I deem it unwise to deny them. As for their finances, full many gave generously. And though our nobles proffered a sizable sum, their coin did not spill from the pockets of Lolorito and his cronies.
Lolorito and his cronies aren't the only bad people that could have funded us, though. We've already established that Teleji Adeleji is a bad dude who's up to bad things, and you know this.
And what of the presence of our stalwart adventurer friend in this endeavor? I doubt the Warrior of Light would betray our cause.
Well, I wouldn't.
Yes, there is that, I suppose. Yet I have known people to change. Whether we will or no, the events of the age hurl us this way and that, like a dust devil skipping across the sands.
That's also true. Sucro could become evil. Maybe.
Cannot be done about Telechi.
Yeah, that guy. Deal with that idiot.
I have explored all avenues available to us, Your Grace. But as Uldan law now stands, we lack the evidence to convict him of any crime. To arrest him on spurious grounds would only play into his hands.
God dang it, bureaucracy and politics.
He has all but committed treason, and yet we can do nothing? Then what good our government? What worth the royal house? How deplorable this mockery of justice!
Oh.
Have faith, Your Grace. It is not over.
Alright, that got me a little bit. Poor Nanamo. Fucking politics bullshit. There are some parallels with the situation in Ulda and real-world situations. Perhaps. Which may have affected the impact of that scene. Also just good acting from Nanamo there. Anyway. Anyone here have different stuff to say? Nope. Thancred's still going on about how he totally writes poetry. If only we ever got to see poetry written by Thancred. I bet it's terrible. That is not a journey I soon wish to repeat, but I cannot pause to rest. The culmination of all our effort is at hand. I must see to the preparations for the inaugural ceremony. Thank you for allowing me to monopolize your services, Sucro. I am certain the antecedent will be relieved to see you free for other duties. Next main scenario quest, Heretical Harassment. Oh boy, that sounds great. Greetings, Sucro. Alphino tells me all is in place to begin his trial company. The Scions shall certainly be grateful to have the support of such an organization. The inaugural ceremony is set to take place here at the Rising Stones. Tataru is cooperating with Alphino to see that all is in readiness, so I'm afraid the recruits themselves have been left to their own devices for the time being. Quite a number of new faces have arrived in Revenant's Toll of late, and I wonder if Slapborn might not find himself overwhelmed. Would you speak with him and see if there's aught he requires? Okay. Any new dialogue over here yet? Nope. At least not with Thancred, who's apparently the only NPC I'm going to double check. It's probably safe to assume new dialogue whenever they are in new places. Giant golden bird, that's fine. It's normal. What can I do for you, Sucro? I thought you'd have your hands full helping out with this new arm of the Scions. Do you need anything? I barely noticed your recruits arrive. 'Twas barely a trickle compared to the flood of treasure hunters we have passed through here every day. While I appreciate your offer of aid, 'tis more your burden that concerns me. I'm told this trial company will answer directly to the antecedent, so I trust that means less work for you in the long run. Slapborn, the shipment, we couldn't... Oh no. Godswoman, what befell? We were bringing a shipment to Revenant's Toll, provisions earmarked for the frontier effort. But just as we sought to cross over into Mordona, we were set upon by brigands. I believe they may have been heretics. There were too many. Too many! We only escaped with our lives by abandoning the supplies. Pray forgive us. There's naught to forgive. Provisions can be replaced, but smart soldiers are hard to find. Take your rest, and I'll have someone along to tend to those wounds. What to do? If heretics are involved, then this is like to be more than a case of simple thievery. Ishgard will need to be informed. Whence did these supplies originate? House Fortom. We collected the provisions from Camp Dragonhead proper. Understood. I shall see that they are apprised of this development. Sucro, were you not on good terms with the Knights of House Fortom? I will be sending them a missive immediately, of course, but I'd also have you travel and offer your considerable talents. I realize I contradict my earlier hopes to lighten your load, but I need someone who can help bring this incident to a satisfactory conclusion. Our favorable relations with Ishgard are far too important to risk half measures. Nod. Thank you for your understanding. I'm certain Lord Harshaphon will be glad of your assistance. It's time to see a great guy again. Remember Harshaphon? It's been a while. I'm going to be right back, and then we can meet Harshaphon again. Hello. I have returned. It would seem that my efforts to be a little quieter have worked, and that I'm not disturbing anyone else in the household, so that's good. I wonder, now that I have, like, OBS instead of a evil version of this program, if there are things that I could do that I couldn't before, like have a playlist with a now playing indicator, because that seems to be like hell's programming for streaming, is to have a thing that says what's playing right now. It's a task that's really difficult to accomplish. I also need to figure out how to do some other things, like... But whatever. Let's talk to Harshafant. It's been a while since we saw this guy. Well, well, if it isn't my fine friend Suko Funk. Would you care for a plate of roast karaku, some mulled wine? No? Ah, I see you've not come into my hall merely to escape the biting cold. I was, in fact, on the verge of opening an urgent missive from Revenant's Toll. I suspect the timing of your arrival is of no coincidence. Harshafant, he's pretty cool and good. We're starting to get weird rewards now, apparently. I'm a cat.
The incident with the New Frontier hands? No, you need not elaborate. I have been following their progress with no small amount of interest.
Is this the first time we've heard voice acting for Harshafant? It might be.
Brave men and women all. They do our nation a great service. The existence of a fortified outpost in Mordona will do much to dissuade the Empire from trespassing on Colonel's soil. Right glad am I that you have chosen to lend your support to this endeavor. Never let it be said that House Fortom does not acknowledge the efforts of her allies, or her debts. 'Twas in the spirit of gratitude that I arranged for sundry supplies to be delivered to Revenant's Toll. The shipment should chance to be waylaid by heretics is poor fortune indeed. Poor fortune, I say, yet not without precedent. If you would know the truth of it, these incorrigible villains grow more organized with each passing day. This new unity of purpose we attribute to their leader, the Lady Iceheart. But though I have devoted significant resources to the task of identifying this woman, we have yet to learn so much as her birth name.
Fascinating.
What we do know is that the heretics speak of Iceheart in reverent tones, and would gladly embrace death rather than betray her. Such loyalty is rare indeed, and I fear to imagine what so committed a collective might achieve. The brigands have not yet been so brazen as to risk direct confrontation here in Dragonair. Some few of their number have, however, been sighted not far to the west of here, and with ever-increasing regularity. A visit to Whitebrim Front may bring you the answers you seek. Will you brave the snows, knowing what implacable foes may lie in wait?
I said that as implacable last time, I think. So now I've heard it pronounced, and I can add that to my memory banks that will maybe function. Implacable. I will do what you said.
Alone's blessings be upon you. Though I take no pride in the admission, many of mine own countrymen are not so well suited as you adventurers to dealing with such foes. Were they dragons, it might be otherwise.
Harshafant is such a nice dude,
I could not wish
honestly.
for a finer ally. You have done much for my house in the past, and I have no doubt but that I shall have cause to celebrate your deeds again. Should you learn aught of value, pray return to me for you. A warm hearth and a warmer welcome shall be waiting for you.
I'm sniffling a lot today for some reason. And sometimes it's causing this to happen. Oh, Oh, for a second Hashifant like disappeared and then he reappeared. This is his power. Speak with Drillimon. I remember that guy? He was rude, but he got better. Whoops. This patch is... I don't think we completed 2.3 yet. This... Oh, I received a free company invite from Star Fox. The Children of Fortune, the power of friendship. Sorry. I just don't really accept free company invites on principle, whatever that principle may be. Perhaps one day I'll take a gamble and join a company of strangers. That one didn't seem like a bad group. Ah, yes. I have to climb the tower. No matter. Okay, I can't actually just fly all the way up here. Because, you know, there has to be a floor for each floor. Alright, Drillimon. Drillemo. Sucro, welcome, welcome. You'll be pleased to know that the repairs to Stone Vigil proceed apace. We shall rebuild sure and strong, that the Dravanians might batter themselves senseless against our shield in the west. I would venture, however, that matters of masonry are not what brought you to Whitebrim. On the trail of a band of thieving heretics, you say? By the Fury, you do seem destined to cross paths with those villains. I must confess, then, 'tis a sad truth that the wilds hereabouts have indeed grown thick with their number. They strike swiftly, without warning, and are canny enough to evade our most able trackers. But 'tis not merely their newfound organization that confounds us. The heretics themselves seem somehow changed. I know not what manner of influence this Iceheart wields, but the men we face seem utterly lost in the grip of righteous fervor. 'Tis an unsettling and unnatural zeal. Mayhaps you would care to question one of their recent victims. As fate would have it, your arrival came moments after a trader was waylaid on the road. A patrol found the unfortunate fellow lying senseless in the snow and carried him to our infirmary. Assuming he's regained the use of his faculties, the merchant might recall some small detail that could aid you in your task. Unnatural zeal, huh? Sounds a bit like they were tempered by a primal or something. At least that's a possibility. Remember when I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to leave that tower for some reason? And just resorted to jumping from the top of it? Because I couldn't find a door that was in plain sight? Good times, I guess? Tell you what happened? Why, yes, of course. I'm quite recovered enough for that. Anything to help catch those cowardly Blackhearts. I was traveling my usual route to Whitebrim Front when a sudden blow sent me reeling. The next thing I knew, I was on the ground. Several heretics were rifling through my cargo. Arms, armor, crystals. They were taking everything. See, crystals is probably the one to zero in on here. 'Twas then that one of them noticed my bleary gaze and stalked over to better acquaint my head with his mace. Before darkness reclaimed me, however, I distinctly heard the words, "Return to Snowcloak." I dare say that's where they were hauling my goods, but you'll not catch me rushing off in pursuit. They tell me 'twas a miracle I survived it all, and I'll not trust my thick skull to save me a second time. We have a location. Snowcloak. Yeah, that's true, I guess. In this game, you can only die from fall damage if you're in combat. Otherwise, you will only be reduced to 1 HP at the worst. There's also not really any reason to jump off of a tower if you can fly in this area, because you could simply fly down from the top. I wonder if there are any heretics here with the bodies and the purple aura of evil. Just a hunch that I have. The snow crunches under the tread of heavy boots. Surrender the crystals, one says. Yeah, it seems like they might be tempered by somebody. They want crystals. They're undyingly loyal to someone with a unnatural fervor and zeal. We know what that means. Draw your weapon, Wait, I recognize you, adventurer. You are come-seeking heretics? Then we share a common purpose. We were on patrol when we chanced across one of their raiding parties, and pursued them here. By rights, we should have had them cornered in this ravine, and yet they're gone, vanished like icy wraiths. Sucro is so small compared to these elf. Oh, who is this? Mysterious. She says humph. Sucro has detected something. You glimpsed a woman atop the cliff. Could it be Iceheart herself come to sneer at our folly? And to where did she disappear? The heretics must have discovered a passage through the frozen wall, some hidden tunnel that escaped our notice. We have not the men to risk further investigation. It would be best were we to return to Whiteburn Front and lay our suspicions before Lord Drillimall. Well, this is funny to me a little bit, because, like, you can see on the map here that there is just a dungeon labeled Snowcloak. And we haven't done that dungeon yet. Gee, I wonder. But we have to go talk to Lord Drillimall to tell him that there's a dungeon on the map that we should be allowed to do. I wonder if I could... Since I jumped off of this tower, surely I could enter it from the top to save time. Oh wait, is this a completely different room? Oh, it's the bell tower. I can ring the bell. I wish I could ring the bell. I'll just take the normal way. Or normal enough, at least. Whoop, fell off the stairs. Sucro, it appears I owe you my thanks once again. The surviving knights spared no detail in their report. The men you found out near Snowcloak were some of my finest. That they should be bested so handily, I fear I've woefully underestimated the threat these heretics pose. While I understand you might balk at the notion, I must ask that you put aside your mission and consider the stolen provisions lost to us for now. It would be ill-advised to blunder unprepared into what may well be the very lair of our enemy. Pray return to Dragonhead and inform Lord Hoshifon of your discoveries. He will wish to plan contingencies of his own. As for Iceheart and her fanatics, the freezing heights of Snowcloak will not shield them from our justice for long. Okay. Still a lot of discussion to be done. I think the reason I had trouble getting out of this tower before was because I couldn't find the stairs down, because they sort of blended in. Instead of being unable to find the door. Which is a little more understandable. Ah, the Super Fate is here again. Nobody ever does this anymore. Hello, Hoshifon.
Your return is most timely. Of their own accord, my thoughts had turned to your task and the progress thereof. I confess, my imaginings tended toward the grim and bloody.
Hoshifon. This expression that Sukro has.
But you are here now, and I suspect such frivolous wonderings do little justice to the reality of your travails. Tell me, what did you learn of Iceheart?
They put a lot of effort into animating this guy. It's almost like he's going to be important now. She's hiding in a snowy
Indeed.
cave.
And this transpired at Snowcloak. Of all the highlands, that towering wall has borne the worst of the region's brutal shift in climate. So inhospitable has Snowcloak become that we have still to survey the area in its entirety. Could its frozen heights conceal the heretics' hideaway? Mayhap a more robust reconnaissance effort is in order.
I'll do it.
Putting such considerations aside, we still know far too little of this Iceheart. That she is capable of commanding such a band of fanatics bespeaks natural authority, and no small measure of charisma.
And possibly, like, magical cheating in those regards.
As much as I would like to fathom this mystery with you, the situation has grown beyond my personal purview. I am bound by duty to inform the Temple Knights and request that they bring this matter to its conclusion. Given the glowing reports the new commander has garnered thus far, I am certain that they can be relied upon to take appropriate action.
You too are beholden to somewhat bullshit bureaucracy in Ishgard, I see.
Though Iceheart's true identity yet eludes us, you have provided us with a point from which to begin. Sometimes it takes but a single stone to prompt an avalanche. On the matter of the stolen provisions, I have already made arrangements for a second shipment to be sent to Revenant's Toll. I could not well allow such an honorable venture to be undermined by one miserable setback.
Maybe make this one better defended just to make sure. Nod. And now we report back to Revenant's Toll. It's not yet time for Snowcloak. It is easier to teleport in this way. By the way, one of the features of the expansion is that there used to be a cap on teleportation fees, and they removed it. So teleportation fees for later and farther away areas, since they're based on distance, are bound to increase. And I think one of the reasons they did this was to combat people reaching the money cap, because there is a cap to how much money you can have. And there were ways to easily reach it that people had found, mostly by exploiting coffee biscuits. also known as chocolate chip cookies, essentially. And it's pretty funny that they had to make money more spendable because of chocolate chip cookies. Sucro, 'tis good to see you return to the tool. How fared you in the frozen wastes of Kurthus? How's for Thomas to send us a second shipment? I must send thanks to Lord Harshaphon for his continued generosity. Yet even as our town grows in prosperity, I fear it will attract even greater numbers of those who would do us harm in the name of greed or power. All of us, Alphino's new recruits included, must remain vigilant against such threats. That's true. I can't make use of any of these as they're not healer-oriented, so I will merely take the coin. Brave new companions. Alphino, doing a fist pump. Ah, here we get something that can in fact be worn by a healer. Though it clips into my hair. A little circlet of sorts. While you were away in Kurthus, preparations for the inaugural ceremony were all but completed, although Tataru does yet seem somewhat flustered. I've taken enough of your time. Why don't you head into the Rising Stones and see if your frantic receptionist could do with a hand? Here's a fun fact also, I don't remember if I mentioned before. In some of the key art for Endwalker, the latest expansion, which we are far away from, Tataru is positioned front and center in the group of characters shown. And this is either because she's significantly important or just because she's short and had to be put at the front. Both are possible. People were joking that Tataru would be the final boss, though. And the director was going along with it. These parchments need to be sorted, and these documents, why are they even here? Oh, I'm sorely tempted to file the lot into my waste paper basket. Asuko, you startled me. You wish to lend a hand? Splendid! Would you be a dear and hand these uniforms to the new recruits? They're scattered about Revenant's Toll, and I haven't the time to track them all down. The recruits know to don their garb immediately and assemble here in the Rising Stones. You want to report directly back to Alphino if you don't wish to miss the ceremony. I wonder if the Scions will ever have matching uniforms. A well-funded organization is a well-dressed organization, I suppose. You have anything new to say? Nope. Thancred's still going on about how his poetry is less cool than my fighting. I think my voice for Tataru there is somewhat accurate to her voice in the future. She's only had one spoken line in the 2.x patches. And it was horrifically difficult, or different, from the correct voice. Yuyo Hase. Ah, so we have people from grand companies and whatnot that we've not seen before. Those who believe this company will see no riches or short-sighted fools. The giving of oneself 'tis an investment in the future. Thus did I sign my name to the cause. Ultramarine uniform, a deep blue uniform crafted specially for Alphino's new trial organization. These uniforms were a splendid idea. Once our organization has made a name for itself, there shall be wealth aplenty in selling replica costumes to the adoring masses. Yuya Hase's motives already seem suspect. If a little bit silly, because they're like, I want to sell replica uniforms. Suspect, but also at the same time. Ah, Laurentius. I thought it best to mimic my fellows here, but I admit that I have no idea what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, that's pretty funny. Ah, our new uniforms. I'm reminded of my introduction to the Wood Whalers. I kind of wish there was some way to see this town in its previous states where it wasn't as developed. I mean, I suppose you can look that up. Isildur has at last retired from the adventurer's life. Though I shall miss his wisdom and irrepressible spirit, I'm excited to forge my own path forwards. Ah, yes, the uniform. Thank you. Truth be told, the thought of pledging myself to such a lofty organization is somewhat intimidating. You can do it. You can do it, Alian. I believe in you. You seem like a nice person. Wilred. Ah, this guy. Little Alamigo could learn so much from evidence told that this town can be so alive in the midst of such desolation. I don't know if just learning will help. I think you need funding a little bit. I've never worn quite so voluminous. Well, I'm sure I'll grow accustomed to the extra cloth in time. That's a fair point. It's nothing like his traditional wear. FME. Someone from the Gerdanian company. Sucrofunk? Gons, I did not expect to meet you strolling about town. The tales of your primal battles were what inspired me to come to Revenant's Toll. It is an honor to receive this uniform from your hands. I shall wear it with pride. Ah, and here's the former Company of Heroes guy. Hello there, lass. Looking for me, was ya? I'd suggest giving a whistle, but I'm not sure to hear it amongst all the bustle. Oh, proper uniforms and all. This thing'll cut off the blood to me head. Not to worry, though. I'm sure she'll be fine after making a few adjustments. Ah, and here's someone from the Limson one. This scarlet garb marks me as a proud member of the Maelstrom and a hardy defender of Limsa Lominsa. Yet in truth I stand for the betterment of the realm, and thought this new company a fine opportunity to contribute on a grander scale. Oh, now that's a striking shade of blue. Put alongside my Maelstrom uniform, my wardrobe will certainly not lack for color. That guy has his priorities straight. And lastly, Ilberd. Someone we've not yet seen, I believe. Looks a bit like Hawk from Advance Wars. I don't believe we've met. I'm Ilberd, and I will have the honor of leading my fellow recruits as captain. Much did I lose to the calamity, and I look forward to aiding others in rebuilding their lives. The uniforms are a shrewd decision. There's no easier method of creating a common bond among what is essentially a band of strangers. So he used to be a captain, huh? Seems like an important guy. Someone has summoned a dog behind me. Tataru is still busy. My various retainers have completed their ventures, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. Yes, Sucro? Ah, Tataru mentioned you were handing out the new uniforms. I assume you've now met the rest of the recruits. Some few answered the call to arms I put forth through the I put forth through the established grand companies and such. There was a bit of a hiccup there, I guess. We are not yet an army, but there is much a small core of elite warriors can achieve. Did I mention I'd thought of a name for the company? It is my hope that it shall be known across the breadth of Eorzea. The moment of truth draws near, Sucro. Once the last of the recruits have gathered, I shall make an official announcement.
Comrades, your presence here this day signifies the momentous choice that each of you has made. With your strength now pledged to the scions of the Seventh Dawn, you are beholden to no single nation. You stand as the vanguard for a united Eorzea. From this moment forth, I declare you Crystal Braves. Let us mend this fractured realm and face our enemies as one.
The Crystal Braves.
Whether it be the Beastmen and their primals, or the conflict in Carteneau, it is plain that the nations of Eorzea cannot solve the problems which plague the realm. Thus does it fall to some few heroic souls to succeed where they have failed. Come, take your place at the Scion's side as guardians of Eorzea, and together we shall fight for the freedom of all! For the freedom of all!
They even get their own salute. As Ilbert has demonstrated there. Some of them wear hats, some of them do not. Ha!
A rousing speech, Alphino. Or should I say, Crystal Brave Commander Leveilleur.
Please, Antecedent. The title is honorary. I shall not be leading the troops into battle, as it were. We are of the same purpose. Let us join hands and do what must be done to save this land.
The Scions stand ready.
Nod. Private military established. Hooray! Surely this will be good. Maybe.
I'm eager to see what the Crystal Braves might accomplish. This shall prove an interesting time indeed for the Scions. Yes, I'm listening. So our worst fears are confirmed. The entire Isle. Such power defies comprehension.
Remember the students of Baldessian and how their island exploded? We're still talking about it, apparently.
Truly? Kryl is alive? Thank the 12.
Hooray, a character we don't know yet.
I see. Pray, inform me if her condition changes. Yes, I shall pass on your words to Urianger.
Sounds like her condition isn't great, though.
My thanks. I shall contact you anon. When I learned of the loss of the Isle of Val, I dared not hope that my friend had survived. Yet, by some miracle, it would seem she has. She's still to regain consciousness, it is true, but better that than death. Putting this happy news to one side, we must now endeavor to make sense of the readings taken by the survey party.
Oh, right.
It appears the etheric disturbance which accompanied the Isle's destruction is of a magnitude alarmingly close to that of Ultima. Could the Ascians be responsible for this devastation as well?
Probably.
I wonder. Have you heard aught from the Mother Crystal since the battle with the Gallians?
I haven't. Unless you count me doing the final dungeon a lot.
Then she speaks to neither one of us. Heidelin's silence portends naught but ill, I fear.
It was established in the final dungeon that Heidelin had used the last of her strength protecting us from Ultima. So she's probably out of commission for a while.
Louisoix, I pray you yet watch over us.
I can take a circlet. Actually, I don't really like the circlet. I'll just take the money. Cutscene again. Is this the end of 2.3? Very good. See that the provisions are prepared for transport. Let us hope that this shipment is spared the fate of the last. The winds are uncommon fierce this day. That's Ishgard. We're not allowed to go there yet. That's a place that's walled off. Isolationist. But now we're getting a peek inside of it, it seems. Who's this guy? It's the Pope. Presumably these are the temple knights spoken of. There are a lot of them. And there's an Ascian. 2 of them. Did you know? Popes are also evil in RPGs. Uh-oh. Eorzea defended. Yep, that means that we've concluded a patch. It's safe to say. Now we have the title Defender of Eorzea, should we wish it. Traitor in the midst. Already? Literally already? Immediately? And gee, given the focus on Ilberd in this this picture here, I wonder if Ilberd is suspicious. We literally just established this organization 5 minutes ago. Though I guess given the space between patches it would have actually been months. But in this reality it's like 5 minutes. Try as I might, I cannot shake a creeping sense of dark foreboding, but it avails us not to fret about the unknown. We must concentrate instead on the problems of the present. The primals have been relatively quiet of late, and the beast tribes who summon them are under constant surveillance by the grand companies. Should any suspicious activity be afoot, you may be certain that we will hear of it. And until such time as a permanent solution to the primal problem has been found, we can do little but wait and observe. As for the Ascians, Urianger is wholly dedicated to finding the means by which we might defeat the dark beings. Let us pray for good tidings on that front. But all of this you knew already. Let us speak then of more current matters, in particular the state of the Crystal Braves. Alphinaud did well to found the organization, but ensuring its smooth operation is another matter entirely. Though I doubt not that he's doing his best, I felt that a helping hand or two would not go astray. To this end, I offered to send one of the Archons to assist him, but he declined. You know how he can be independent to a fault, and singularly loath to accept help. Save, of course, when that help comes from you. Alphinaud has entrusted countless matters of import to your care in the past, and I believe he would not hesitate to do so again were you to offer. I should be most grateful if you would go to him and support him in whatever manner you're able. Sucro probably nods off-screen. I forgot that they literally waste no time at all in being like, by the way, there's a traitor. Here's a picture of someone that you will now suspect because there's a picture of him next to the word traitor. Dispatch the first unit to Ul'dah. The 2nd and 4th are to stand by for further orders. He seems like he's doing reasonable military things. Yes, 'twould be foolish to sacrifice nutrition for flavor. Important discussions are happening over here. If Higiri and our more skilled culinarians worked closely together, I dare say they could create extraordinary dishes sure to satisfy Eorzean and Doman alike. In traditional Doman cuisine, we strive for perfect balance, not only of flavor and texture, but also of nutrition. For a meal to be truly satisfying, it must nourish the body as well as delight the senses. Thancred, what are you doing? Is this an animation they made specifically for Thancred right now that's never used ever again in the game? Where he's doing sweet knife tricks? I literally don't think this is used anywhere else. A dazzling floral arrangement, each blossom a peerless beauty in her own right. Ah, the blessing and the burden of an overactive imagination. He's just muttering to himself about something. Where have those younglings disappeared to? Making the most of their newfound freedom, no doubt. Those azure uniforms are rather striking, but I think I shall remain a scion for the nonce. These walls have become my home, and the scions my family. Besides, I'm not sure blue is really my color. The green in my cassock brings out my eyes, just as Hori's breeches bring out the red in his. I can't see the red in his eyes without zooming in. Look forward, never back. Devote yourself only to the present. This is what I've learned from the Domans. Mr. Boulder, I need to zoom in on your eyes. Wait, your eyes aren't even red. Your eyes are blue. Coltidae? Are you colorblind? Do you know this about yourself? There's nothing wrong with being colorblind, of course, but it's helpful if you know that you're colorblind, I would imagine. Kinda wish I could tell him that. Many of my countrymen are skilled with the bow or blade. I've made it my mission to rally those with such talents to the Braves' cause. I only hope we can be of some small assistance. Totaro, do you need help? It looks like you might have trouble reaching anything here. Ah, from invoices to petitions to... It's a war, Sucro. That desk is my front line, and I fear I've been overrun. She's just having secretary problems. So, Alphino. What is it, Sucro? And do be precise. I'm rather busy. You would lend a hand, you say? Why, I see. Now that you mention it, there is a matter that wants for attention. Given its sensitive nature, I was hesitant to entrust it to my braves, but the demands upon my time are such that I had little choice. Which is not to say that my men want for labor. Though we are but newly formed, there is already a great demand for our services, and we're hard-pressed to answer all petitions. And according to the quest title, there's already a trader. But I digress. The fact is, I would sooner attend to this particular matter myself, but my presence is required elsewhere. That being the case, I've entrusted its resolution to my second-in-command, Captain Ilberd. Despite the fact that Ilberd's face is next to the word traitor in your quest journal. Tell him that I sent you, and he will furnish you with the particulars. My thanks in advance, Sucro. Hello, Trader McTraderson. Salute.
Hail to you, sire. How might we serve you?
Ah, he's voiced here. I was told to ask you
Commander Leveilleur bade you serve us?
Yeah, tell me what to do, basically.
These are welcome tidings indeed. Given the sensitive nature of the task, I could not rely on one of my own.
Questioning head tilt.
That which I'm about to tell you, I tell you in the strictest confidence.
I tell it to you loudly, in an area with considerable amounts of echo, so that everyone will actually hear it, regardless of the amount of confidence. Whatever. Okay, at least I'm approaching.
Some days ago, we received certain documents from an anonymous source. They notified us of the presence of a Garlean agent within the ranks of one of the Grand Companies.
Oh, okay.
Following some discreet inquiries, we identified a suspect among the Immortal Flames, whom we detained for questioning. Alas, the man was not our agent. He was but one of many men in the agent's employ.
That's worse.
We pressed the traitor for a name, but he had none to give. He claims never to have met his master, whom he knows only as the Ivy.
Codenames.
He was, however, certain that this Ivy had coiled itself around every part of the Immortal Flames. It would seem our quarry joined the company some time ago, and gradually recruited others to his cause.
Raise your hand if you're surprised that the traitor is amidst the organization from Ul'dah. I'm not raising my hand, because I don't have that feature enabled, and both of my actual hands are on my controller. But also because I'm not surprised.
These conspirators are the vines by which he learns our secrets, all without exposing himself.
I guess I should say that my actual hands and my virtual hands are the same in order to be in character. I think that's something that people are supposed to do.
It won't be easy to identify the Ivy amidst this tangled mass of subterfuge. But we have a tendril in our hands, and we shall follow it all the way to the gnarled root.
I bet Ilbert is glad that the codenames in this situation afford him the opportunity to use a lot of metaphor to describe all of this. It seems like he prepared for this in advance.
Now, much as I would prefer to proceed with due discretion, circumstances demand that this matter be settled post-haste. Garlemald's War of Succession nears its end, and it is feared that the Empire will soon resume its march on Eorzea.
How do we know that? How can we know? We haven't heard from Garlemald at all since the end of 2.0.
When it does, we can ill afford to have traitors in our midst. The Ivy must be rooted out now.
He said the quest name.
We must begin by apprising General Reborn of our findings. I would ask that you accompany me to the Hall of Flames, and remain on hand to see that things go smoothly. Assuming the Ivy's tendrils are as widespread as we believe, he would be aware that an investigation is underway. And if that is the case, he may well move against us.
By the way,
We must be prepared
well, I'll get
for
to it
anything,
after this.
while taking care not to betray our purposes by seeming prepared. A simple enough task for a one-woman army like you.
I'll do it. I'm a cat. I destroy my enemies. The thing I was going to say is, by the way, I think it's a little bit funny how the uniforms that we prepared for the Crystal Braves, well, not like personally. Oh, I didn't talk to Ida and Pepolimo, I think. The uniforms that had to be prepared for the Crystal Braves are essentially just the same uniforms as are found in Grand Companies, but blue. We just, like, dyed them, that's all. We must begin by apprising General Ralban of our findings. Pray meet me at the Hall of Flames, and remain on hand to see that things go smoothly. Same dialogue, I guess. In which event, we must guide them to Little Alamigo, else we condemn them to certain death. Ida, what did I just tell you? Condemn the refugees to death. Wait a minute, that's not right. Ida. Ida's a little, distracted at this moment, I suppose. Is everybody ready to go back to Ul'dah and have fun dealings with the Ul'dah organizations, such as the police and the other police, and the government, and the other part of the government. And the government police. I think it's funny that you can, like, take a small shortcut into the Hall of Flames by jumping up that. You've received a free company invite. The Dalmill Knights. They could also be fine, but I'm not looking for a free company. What is this extremely fancy? Oh, yeah, that's the Scylla armor. From the Crystal Tower? Circus Tower? One of those. One of those in that raid series. Hello, Raban. Did you know that...
Well, what brings you here, my friend?
One of the people under your command is doing a traitor.
She is here at my behest. Greetings, Reborn. It has been a while.
Ah, they know each other.
Hilbert, you old scoundrel. When they told me you'd be visiting, I scarce believed my ears.
Ah, they're friends.
But look at you. The honored captain of the Crystal Bloody Braves. Who'd have imagined, eh?
Not many, but fewer still would have imagined your destiny lay in politics, old friend.
That's also fair.
Aye. We've both come far, have we not? Lest you wonder, Hilbert and I go back a long way. We've been friends and rivals since we were lads. The last time we saw each other, Alamigo had just fallen, so you can guess how many summers it's been. And in all that time, not a word from the fool.
Ah, well, my dealings tended toward the modest and mundane, unlike some I could mention. As I hear it, no sooner did you reach Thanalan than the brass blades clapped you in irons and dragged you off to die on the blood sands. Being a stubborn sort, you won 1,000 matches and earned yourself a place in the people's hearts while you were about it. Then, with your mountain of prize money, you bought the Colosseum and secured a seat on the Syndicate. Those balls, brother! Rags to riches does not do it justice. You're a hero to the common man.
Ha! Spare me. I am no hero. If anyone is worthy of that title, it's our friend here. Next to her, I'm little more than a glorified butcher.
I'm a cat.
But you, Wilbert, you sell yourself short. By all accounts, you were an adventurer of some standing.
I like to think that I did my part for the greater good. But if you're no hero, then I'm no adventurer, not in this company. Anyway.
Hi.
I have tidings.
So there has been progress.
I suppose you probably knew already.
I've let it be known that this meeting is a reunion between old friends. None will give your visit a second thought. To convene elsewhere would only attract attention. Let us speak here, in plain view of all.
Let's be really loud about it. Or completely silent about it.
So it is we who have been compromised. Teleji Adeleji's machinations have shaken Ul'dah to her foundations. In such uncertain times, a man's loyalty may be bought for a fistful of gil.
Especially in Ul'dah.
But if this snake has truly been in our midst for as long as you say, we must needs consider a far graver possibility. Conspiracy. Could it be be that the monitorists have been in league with the Empire from the first?
Even if they're not, they could be doing conspiracy to their own ends because they're a bunch of shitheads.
Very well. I will have my most trusted men investigate the matter. Continue your inquiries in the meantime. It does me well to see you again, old friend. When next we meet, let it be over a flagon of ale.
I look forward to it. Let us reminisce of bygone days, and drink to the future of our homeland.
That elf lady showed up in a cutscene somewhere earlier as a trusted Immortal Flames person that you don't see very often.
Flame General. You wear the mantle well, old friend. I must work hard if I'm to keep up. Well, it would seem your services were not required after all. I dare say we have Reborn's prudence to thank for that. Still, I was glad of your presence. My thanks, Scion.
As this game continues, how short Sucro is becoming more and more amusing to me. She's 5 feet tall, and all of these large people are starting to become important. Hooray, we did something. There we go. Back and forth. Like the fourth one, like the number. Our hunt for the ivy begins in earnest, Scion. Suffice it to say, we must tread warily, but one misstep may well cost our lives. Our business here is concluded for the time being. Let us return to the Rising Stones and report to Commander Leveilleur. Odd squeaking sound behind me. I mentioned this last time as well, but it's interesting how this game keeps, like, throwing out problems. Like, we now know that Iceheart is causing trouble, but now we also know that there's traitors somewhere, and they might be connected to the monitorists who are still unaddressed. We're not following a single problem all the way through, we're just having multiple problems piled on. Is there someone... Okay, you're just playing dead. I was concerned. Also, we have Crystal Braves people hanging around now. And anyway, let's report to Commander Leveilleur, I suppose. Everyone seems to be doing much the same things, though Y'shtola has disappeared from here. Alright, Commander. We are returned from Uldar, Commander. And not a moment too soon. Something has happened. Trouble? You will recall that the Fourth was tasked with reconnoitering the rendezvous site used by the Ivy's minion and his Imperial contacts. Soon after you left, we received word that the unit was ambushed en route to its destination. Gods damn it. According to the report, one of ours has been taken captive. The Garleans are not wont to treat their foemen with dignity, and I have grave fears for her safety. We must dispatch a rescue party at once. Recall those braves who are afield. Begging your pardons, Commander, but we have not the time. I'm afraid I must ask for your aid once more, Scion. An ill-prepared rescue party will only serve to provide the Garleans with more captives, yet time is of the essence. Simply put, you are the best chance we have. Captain Ilbert has the right of it. I trust you're willing, but of course you are. Now, Alian of the Fourth lies in wait in the Tangle, near the entrance to Castrum Sentry. Seek her out, and she will apprise you of the situation. She's the one who was taking care of the old guy. Who I was like, she seems like a good person. Ah, the Tangle is nearly down there. Funny how we're dealing with a mysterious individual known as the Ivy, and we just happen to have to go to a place called the Tangle, which is probably a word used somewhere in Ilbert's metaphors to describe what's going on. Fun coincidence there. Things are definitely coincidental and not meticulously planned by anyone. Probably. I don't remember, actually. I'm just very suspicious of everything right now. How you doing, Alian? I'm doing alright. You look very different without the hood, so that your hair is actually visible. Hang in there, Resh. We'll free you yet. You would aid us in the rescue mission. We're in your debt, Warrior of Light. Now time is against us, so allow me to brief you on the situation. The Garleans fell upon us without warning, wounding poor Resh and hauling her away to the castrum yonder. Outnumbered as we were, it was all we could do to flee and regroup. Even as we speak, the Garleans may be interrogating Resh, or worse. With her hurts, I fear she will not long survive their attentions. We must rescue her without delay. Our order may yet be in its infancy, but the bond that binds us is as strong as mithril. None of us will stand by while a comrade suffers. We, the remnants of the Fourth, will infiltrate Castrum Sentry. Please help us find Resh before it is too late. Everything's fine and nothing is suspicious. The bonds between all of these soldiers are stronger than mithril, they say. Oh, hi, Resh. No problem. Where am I? Resh, thank the gods we found you. And thank you, Warrior of Light. Now to quit this accursed place. Resh cannot move with those wounds. She will need to be carried out. I believe a diversion is in order. Might we trouble you to provide one? Given your reputation, I suspect the Garleans will only be too happy to grant you their undivided attention. We could also heal the wounds, probably. If you were to create a commotion within the castrum, we should be able to steal away unnoticed. Let us speak again once we are safely outside these walls. I guess we're not allowed to just heal. Gotta beat up some people. Once again, because of my level, the Imperial forces will not attack me unless they're supposed to, which is funny. Oh, that wasn't one of the ones that was... Ah, whatever. Doesn't matter too much. Hello. We are briefly punching the Empire again, as one of the Crystal Braves has been kidnapped. Or was ambushed briefly. We're causing a diversion. The Crystal Braves being a new order recently established by Alphino to unify the various nations. Or rather, have an army independent of them. And immediately after they were founded, we were given a quest called Traitor in the Midst, which showed a giant picture of Ilberd, so I'm sure everything's fine. Ilberd is also a person in the Crystal Braves who were only recently introduced to. I'd awaited your return most anxiously, my friend. You've done us a great service indeed. Thanks to your aid, our comrade Resh is safe, and we suffered no further casualties. Words cannot well express my gratitude. All that's left is to report the mission's success to Commander Leveilleur. I shall go on ahead to the Rising Stones. We have established that allegedly the traitor is someone within the Immortal Flames. Or rather, there was someone working for the traitor in the Immortal Flames. The traitor is someone known as the Ivy. And we have to figure out what's going on. There's a suspicion that the Monetarists were working with the Empire, though I feel like they're probably just working for themselves because they're the Monetarists, but we'll see. By the way, don't forget to drink water. It's important. It does me well to see you thus returned, though I doubt not your prowess. Entering an enemy stronghold is generally considered to be a risky venture, and I must confess to having been a trifle anxious. But here you are, hale and whole, having succeeded in your mission as is your wont. Lest you wonder, the woman you rescued is being cared for by the Dolmens. Thanks to their expert ministrations, the danger is past. You have my gratitude, Sucro. Could have healed her. Allow me to thank you also, Scion. Resh owes you her life. We escaped with minimal casualties this time, but we can ill afford to be caught off guard again. The Empire is not an opponent to be trifled with. As you say, Commander, I will see to it that the men keep their wits about them. And it may yet take time, but I will not rest until we have identified and apprehended the Ivy. I have every confidence that you will succeed, Captain. As for you, Sucro, I realize you've scarce caught your breath, but I'm afraid there's no rest for the weary. I require that you accompany me to Kurthus. I've been granted an audience with an Ishgardian dignitary, you see, and the man expressly requested your presence. Do not look so surprised. You should be familiar with the trappings of fame by now. We shall depart as soon as you're ready. Are these gloves cool? They're kinda cool. Oh, hey, it's another guy that we haven't actually met yet that I remember. Neat. I didn't know that this guy showed up here. We've been blessed with a rare opportunity, Sucro, an audience with an ambassador of the Holy See of Ishgard. We are to treat with Sir Emmerich, Lord Commander of the Temple Knights in Camp Dragonhead. It's considered a great honor to serve the Holy See directly as a Temple Knight. Needless to say, their leader wields tremendous political influence. We would be wise to court his favor. For that reason, I consider your attendance essential. If Sir Emmerich wishes to meet the woman behind the legend, I would not deny him the pleasure of your company. The antecedent should see the wisdom of this plan when you request her permission to accompany me to Kurthus. Mayhap you feel this to be a waste of your talents, which could doubtless be put to nobler use. If so, I should remind you that more good can be accomplished with the stroke of a pen than the thrust of a sword. What about the shoot of a laser beam? Or 4 of them? Or that many? Why do I have to request permission from Minfilia anyways? A meeting with an Ishgardian ambassador? By all means, I think it a wonderful idea. We've received no reports of etheric disturbances or unusual beast tribe activity of late. If Alphino believes your presence may help him to secure more favorable terms, I see no reason to deny him. Antecedent, I take it Sucro has explained the situation? She has. Yet welcome though these overtures are, I cannot help but wonder what prompted them. The Ishgardians have spurned all contact with the other city-states for decades. Why reach out now? Would that I knew. The question of their motives is one to which I've given no small amount of thought. Alas, I know no more than is generally known. Here is the map. The notoriously reclusive nation of Ishgard, situated at the center of Abalathia's spine, ruled by the Ishgardian Orthodox Church, at the head of which presides the Archbishop. Oh, that's right. We've also seen the Archbishop now, or Elf Pope, as I prefer to call him. Members of the original Eorzean alliance formed in the wake of Alamigo's fall, some 2 decades ago. Friends of convenience who withdrew from the alliance as soon as the Imperial fleet was routed at the Battle of the Silver-Tier Skies. Since which time their borders have remained closed to all outsiders. They have rejected every one of their former allies' calls to reopen dialogue, turning a deaf ear to their neighbors' pleas even while the calamity loomed large. And on the fields of Cartano, where brave men and women laid down their lives in defense of the realm, their banners were conspicuously absent. I have tried to convince Ishgard to rejoin the alliance at every opportunity. I've explained over and over again that unless Eorzea stands united, we cannot hope to preserve our freedom. One by one, our nations will fall as once fell Alamigo. And what have mine efforts yielded? Why, naught. Surely this can be considered a step in the right direction. I should hope so. Rather than the lowly messengers we've been fobbed off with in the past, this time we shall meet a man of genuine influence. Of course, I'm not so naive as to think that they come to us out of the goodness of their hearts. We have something they desire, though I have yet to find out what. But such is the nature of diplomacy. They will bring their agendas to the negotiating table, and so will I, along with a handful of incontrovertible truths. The Empire will soon be at our doorstep once more. Indeed, you may be assured that I will expound upon this point and others. Let us depart for Camp Dragonhead, Sucro. Our old friend Lord Hoshifont is expecting us. Since our quest to recover the Enterprise, I understand you've further ingratiated yourself with the man. Excellent work. His fondness may prove useful to our cause. Yeah, it is. The airship did have to be gotten there, but that was in Kurthus, which is basically the surrounding... Technically it's part of Ishgard, but it's also kind of like the outskirts. The surrounding area, I suppose. And Ishgard has had its doors closed to us for the whole game so far. And we're just now interacting with the more actual Ishgardian stuff. Partially because there are heretics about who have suddenly become surprisingly more organized under Lady Iceheart, who we've only briefly seen. And they ambushed the Crystal Braves, so that we became directly involved. And now, Sir Emmerich seems to want to meet us for some reason. Ah, Sucro, ever a welcome sight. Our hearths had been stoked to blazing in preparation for your arrival. It would not do for such a distinguished personage to catch cold whilst enjoying our hospitality. The gesture is much appreciated. I fear I shall ever struggle in cold climes. Ah, good Master Alphino, an honor as always. Likewise, Lord Harshavant. Forgive us yet another imposition. I fear we have relied overmuch on your aid since you so generously assisted us in locating the Enterprise. Nonsense. Any debts incurred have long since been repaid. Besides, who can say what the future may bring? House Fortom may even seek the aid of your newly formed Crystal Braves. In any case, I am simply delighted that the Holy See is at last willing to grant you an audience. No doubt your discoveries at Snowcloak helped justify the decision. This recent resurgence in heretical activity is of grave concern to us all. But to the matter at hand, Sir Emmerich arrived in Camp Dragonhead earlier, and I am told he's eager to meet with you at your first convenience. You are doubtless weary from your journey and desirous to rest a while by the warmth of our hearth. But if you are willing to forego such comforts, pray inform the knight stationed outside the intercessory. He will grant you entrance and send word to the other attendees. As inviting as your hearth sounds, I think it best we proceed to the intercessory forthwith. Nod. I think that's around here. Yeah. It's kind of a secret area. Almost. We've been expecting you, madam. Pray take your ease inside and I shall summon the others. Will do. One of these chairs is fancier than the others.
Have faith, my friend. You need only state your case with confidence and clarity.
Commander Leveilleur, it is both an honor and a pleasure to meet you.
Wait, does your voice never change? Isn't that the Emmerich voice that always exists?
I am Emmerich, Lord Commander of the Temple Knights.
At least it's very similar in the future.
Alphino Leveilleur, at your service. Your reputation precedes you, Sir Emmerich. I think we will find that we have much in common.
I'm a cat.
Speaking of reputations, yours towers over us all. Does it not?
That's funny because I'm like one of the shortest people in the room. Besides Alphino, who is a baby.
Indeed, Lord Commander.
I am not too proud to admit that I have followed your activities with an interest bordering on fascination. Full glad was I to learn that you would be joining us. Now then, shall we begin?
We know full well that the Garleans will return in force ere long. What is more, we have yet to achieve a lasting victory over the primal menace. The beast tribes continue to summon their gods, and each incarnation is stronger than the last. Ishgard is not immune to these threats. I must reiterate that it would behoove your nation to rejoin the Eorzean alliance.
Once again, I must respectfully disagree.
On what grounds?
Despite their presence in Kurthus, the Ixal do not concern us. Their territorial claims pertain to Gridanian lands, and it is the people of Gridania whom they harry.
That's true.
Consequently, the Holy See judges this to be a Gridanian affair, and Ishgard does not intervene in the internal affairs of other nations.
Mostly this is the Holy See's fault, not this guy's fault.
Even were that not the case, our forces are wholly committed to the Dravanian conflict. We have not the knights to spare.
Also, they're in a constant war with dragons forever.
As for the Garleans, we are not ignorant of history. We have observed the rise and expansion of the Empire, and we agree that it is only a matter of time before they resume their campaign in Eorzea.
I don't think most of us are at war with dragons forever.
Then surely it would be in our best interests to present a united front.
Mayhap one day, but not yet. Gaius van Belsar is dead, and the legion of conscripts he left behind lacks the will to fight. We think it highly unlikely that they will emerge from behind the walls of their castra for some time.
Forgive me, but if Ishgard's position has not changed, why did you agree to this meeting?
Just wanted to say hi.
It was not only as a representative of Ishgard that I came here.
Pardon?
It is not within my power to change Ishgardian policy, regardless of my personal feelings. There is, however, one area in which I may exert a measure of influence. Concerns have been raised over the supplies House Fortin has offered to Revenant's toll. These have led to calls for restrictions on the provision of aid to foreign powers.
Jeez, really?
I can ensure that the shipments continue unabated.
Oh, good.
Sir Amaric, we would be in your debt.
No, you would not. For I require something in exchange. Of late, there has been a flurry of Dravanian activity, the purpose of which was not immediately clear. However, our astrologians have since observed alarming changes in the heavens. The dragon star waxes unnaturally bright, and there are whispers that it portends the resurrection of Midgard Sorma.
The fallen guardian of Silvertear Falls? That's absurd.
Full many times have I gazed upon the dragon's corpse still wound around the Agrius, and wondered how different our world might be if it yet lived to plague the skies.
Every time something new gets introduced to the plot, I'm like, oh, really? That's here? I don't remember this game that well.
I do not know, and I do not wish to know, nor does any son of Ishgard. Yet the mere presence of Dravanian forces is not sufficient grounds to send knights to Mordona, whatever our astrologians say. As I told you before, we have not the forces to spare.
But we do. So you will intervene on our behalf if we agree to watch over the Keeper of the Lake.
Do you accept these terms?
I'll do
I
it.
do. I will see that you are kept abreast of any developments. I I regret that we could not come to a similar agreement on other matters, but I understand that you are not at liberty to make such decisions. Nevertheless, I hope that what we have
That's
accomplished
true.
here today will serve to demonstrate to your countrymen that we can work together towards a common goal. Mayhap one day we shall look back on this moment as the first step towards a united Eorzea.
There is a lot of talking and plot and things that happen. That is true. And it did look like Alphino's existence flickered for a second, yes.
Mayhap we shall, Commander.
That's just what happens when he gets pissed off.
What is the meaning of this?
Bad shit happened, Commander. Lord.
The caravan, my lord. It's been attacked. It was Iceheart, my lord.
Shit.
What? By the Fury! All our precautions were for naught?
Iceheart, stop harassing the caravan's challenge. She won't, though. That's just what she does. But yeah, like, they introduce a lot of things at once at this part of the game, it would seem. Or not at once, but frequently. Hold on. There's a seal here. The seal is hiding underneath someone's robe. Never mind. Just when we were starting to make progress. And to make matters worse, the caravan they spoke of was bound for Revenant Toll of all places. Honestly, were I so inclined, I should think the gods were conspiring against us. Happily, however, I am not. I would know more of this attack. Let us speak with Lord Hoshifon and find out what he's learned. Let us look at the seal on the ground. What an incredible creature. Okay. What has Lord Hoshifon learned in the last 5 seconds since we talked to him? We must needs find the heretics and... no, it will not avail us... It will avail us not to rush. Let's hear what Lord Hoshifon has to say first. I am come to hear Lord Hoshifon speak, not you. Very well. My sincerest apologies for the interruption, my friends, but the situation is such that we must act swiftly. If you would be so kind as to elaborate... Iceheart's heretics fell upon the caravan bound for Revenant's Toll as it was passing through Boulder Downs. It was an ambush, swift and ruthless. In an instant every knight was slain, every crate seized. Then as quickly as it appeared they were gone. It would be an impossible feat without knowledge of the route, knowledge which only a select few are privy, I presume. Quite. We can pursue that avenue of inquiry in due course. It seems to me that examining the scene of the ambush should be our first concern. The trail is yet warm. We must act swiftly, as Lord Hoshifon said, lest crucial evidence be lost. You have a knack for discerning hidden truths, Sucro. Why don't you go and inspect the ambush site in person? An excellent idea. Inform my men of your intent upon your arrival, and they will gladly share their findings. I feel like a lot of the voices I'm doing in this section of the game are running together a little bit, but I'm doing my best to differentiate them a little. A lot of... I hesitate to call it voice acting, but a lot of voice acting, I think, is in subtlety. So I'm trying to have, like, subtle differences between these characters that I can manage. And yeah, there are a lot of characters. I'm only one lady. The voice cast for this game is significantly more than one person. Seems that seems that there's a tipped wagon on the road. Inside you find one harmonica, 76 pounds of bacon, and one bucket. Perhaps. Also a crate fell over and broke. And some of the wheels are in the snow. There's a variety of footprints here, but they're mine. Move along, adventurer. There's nothing for... Huh? Lord Harshafont bid you speak with us? Then you must be... beg your pardon, Scion. Yeah, you gotta ford the river, or caulk the wagons and float, or whatever. As you can see, they left nary a crate behind, except for that one over there that broke. Tipped the wagon for good measure, even. Whole thing's a bit odd, if you ask me. Would have been easier to just steal it, though a damn sight harder to conceal it, I'll allow. Reckon they came prepared, probably with wagons of their own hidden away off. But pay no heed to my ramblings. Absent of proof, 'tis naught but speculation. Might be as the squire receiving care at the observatorium could tell you something more factual, that is, if he's awake. Unlike myself, he was there during the attack, not that his presence amounted to much. Let's play Find the NPC. This is the door you can go in. Come to ask about the attack, haven't you? We came upon them before the entrance to the Hall of the Seven Echoes. Pilgrims, we marked them as. Lost and ill-equipped for a journey further north. Our leader called out to them, and one stepped forward to answer. Slowly she approached, her silver hair flowing in the wind like melting snow. Just a young girl, I thought, some poor lost lamb in search of salvation. Our leader must have thought the same, else why would he let her draw so close? They exchanged some words I couldn't hear, and she leaned forward as if to kiss his cheek. And then he sighed and crumpled to the ground. I didn't know what had happened till I saw the snow turn red. And then there was red everywhere I looked. I tried to fight, but took a blow to the head. And by the time I came to, the others were dead, and the heretics were unloading the wagon. They'd have killed me, so I just lay still and listened. Iceheart's people spoke of deliverance and resurrection, and they spoke of Shiva. Seems fine. Remember how I said it seemed like Iceheart's followers were, possibly tempered by a primal? Uh-oh. Yeah, Shiva is a classic Final Fantasy summon that has as of yet been missing. It takes but one pair of loose lips. Welcome back, old friend. Oh dear, Alphino's looking this way. I do not think he likes being ignored. That's a good text box. I didn't know about that. Okay. Ah, you've returned. What news do you have for us? What did you think I was saying? Shiver? Or... Shiva? I can't imagine what you thought I was saying. It seems the Lady Iceheart does not scruple to sully her hands with blood. Oh, Sheba. Oh... That would be good. It was you all along. Yeah. Who is this Shiva the heretic spoke of? Have you not read a single line of the Enchiridion, Master Alphino? Shiva was a traitor to kith and kin, an apostate who lay down with dragons. Now, we cannot expect all foreigners to know Ishgardian scripture so well, particularly when it concerns the patron saint of heretics. Wait, you say she's the patron saint? Oh no, it all makes sense now. Lord Haurchefant, what was the caravan's cargo? Ah, if I recall correctly, the Diamond Forge had requested a rather large quantity of crystals. Do you not see? Iceheart and her followers intend to summon Shiva, as a beast tribe would a primal. Why else would they go to such lengths to secure crystals? I shall inform the Lord Commander at once. Lord Haurchefant, you would agree that discretion is of paramount concern? Of course. I trust we can count on your continued support, Master Alphino. The Scions of the Seventh Dawn are sworn to combat the primal threat. Our support is a given. I will need to send word to my brethren in Revenant's Toll. Our entire order must turn its efforts to the prevention of this summoning. Naturally, that includes you, though I'm sure you would not miss this for the world. Nod. Wah-oh. So, these pants are pretty standard, but I guess I'll take them. The persistent attacks on our caravan seemed little more than a nuisance at first. The heretics were a problem, to be sure, but a relatively minor one. That was before I discerned the purpose behind their attacks, of course. Now they have my undivided attention. After apprising Menphilia of the situation, I shall summon a unit of Crystal Braves to assist us. As for you, Sucro, pray join me in White Brim Front. Since the incident in Snowcloak, the Knights of House Durandare have redoubled their reconnaissance efforts in the region. It's my hope that they have information which may help us to determine precisely where the heretics are hiding. Given our mutual enemy, Lord Drillimon should be eager to oblige us. I shall see you there, then? Good. And off we go. Once again, back up here. Oh, hey, Emmerich. Commander Leveilleur's assessment is most troubling. If he's correct, Iceheart now poses a threat to Ishgard at large. Hello, and welcome. Just so you know, my men have already started to arrive. Captain Ilberd always keeps a few braves at the ready in case of emergencies. By what means do these heretics travel so quickly? We must know, or every attempt to apprehend them will be doomed to fail. The Scions of the Seventh Dawn wish to join the hunt for Iceheart. Your assistance is more than welcome, my friends. Considering the report I just received, I dare say your timing could be no better. It did look like I was talking to Poster. We are all ears, Lord Drillmon. A band of pilgrims was seen transporting a large number of crates to the west. Their garb appears to match the description provided by the squire who survived the attack. Alas, our scouts lost track of them at Snowcloak, the self-same frozen wall which we speculated might conceal the heretics' hideaway. Suffice it to say that the disappearance of these pilgrims and their provisions all but confirms our suspicions. I've heard enough. My knights will join the hunt. I took the liberty of summoning a unit of Crystal Braves to Whitebrim Front. Given the gravity of the situation, I trust you will agree that we must use every resource available to us. These are extraordinary circumstances, Commander. It would be in our best interest to coordinate our efforts. Such was my intent from the start, Sir Emmerich. And so it begins, my friend, though I dare say it will prove an all too brief collaboration. Iceheart will not elude the combined forces of the Crystal Braves and the Temple Knights for long. Nevertheless, a wise man does not wager all upon the success of a single solution. There may yet be subtler means by which we can locate the heretic's lair. Mayhap Lord Drillmon has one in mind. He's right there, we could ask him. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Heresy, yes, excellent. My lady, everything has been accounted for. If there is aught else you would have us do, pray speak, and it shall be done. But she didn't speak, so everything is done. All the heretics' to-do list is complete, and thus they started to just hang out and play video games. How villainous of them. I think we can all agree that a formidable foe demands a calculated response. Some still think these heretics do not pose a great threat. The slain House Fortom Knights would surely beg to differ. It would be foolish to dismiss alternative approaches when contending with such clever foes. Oh boy, I get bacon bread for this. It seems as though we are always one step behind, our quarry ever just beyond our reach. Though I would like to believe that the tables are about to turn, I must confess to having certain doubts. Our joint effort may succeed where others have failed, but it could yet yield the self-same result. Fortunately, we are not without other options. I trust you haven't forgotten Inquisitor Guillemets. We have not. The mystery of how the heretic remained undiscovered for so long has been much in our thoughts, as has the question of what steps might be taken to prevent a similar breach of security in the future. Accordingly, we conducted an exhaustive and covert evaluation of everyone in Whitebrim Front. Though some were found to have committed certain minor transgressions, we identified only one possible heretic. If this man has pledged himself to Iceheart's cause, he will have taken note of the movements of the Temple Knights and the Crystal Braves, and upon recognizing their intent, he may attempt to warn the heretics. The man's watch is to end soon, at which point he must report to Sir Jean-Termont in the yard. I would have you keep an eye on him. If he ventures beyond the walls, follow him discreetly. Should he meet with a heretic, do not interfere. Simply watch and listen. I have seen to it that the suspect knows nothing which could endanger our plans. That's a good question. I feel like it probably isn't. And now I need to be right back for a moment. Hello. I am here, technically. However, despite saying I would just be right back, I think we might actually have to stop soon. Even though some of you just recently got here, I will be having dinner shortly, probably. And I'm a little bit tired, and a little bit I have a headache. So, unfortunately, we might have to call it for today. Still made a reasonable amount of progress. Forgot to talk to this Chocobo Keep ever. That's going to never be important, but still. And so, sorry about that. Tomorrow there probably won't be a stream because I have things to do. But maybe more. Also, I still have to record more Pokemon at some point. That's also ongoing. So, until next time, thanks for watching. Sorry for the abrupt ending there. And, yeah. Farewell. Oh, and of course, the usual array of options for supporting me are below the stream, should you wish. But again, you don't have to. Have a good night, everyone.